an epoxy world map art piece, and today we're showing you how we created this one-of-a-kind piece. You will see what we did to get an almost ocean-like effect for the background, how we used our spray paint and a stencil to get the world map on there, and how we sealed it to ensure it will last for years to come. If you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We launch new videos every week. Now let's get started.
So I'm going to go over everything you're going to need. Now there's lots of different ways you guys can do our stencil design projects. The easiest way is get a 1.5 gallon kit of our clear epoxy, and then you use 3 quarts for your colored coat, do your stencil, and then you do 3 quarts of a flood coat. So it's all out of a 1.5 gallon kit. That's what it calls for a 36 by 80 board or hollow core door. On this one, we're going to be doing a world map, so it's a little different than the flags, but the process is exactly the same. The board's already primed. It's been down for about 45 minutes to an hour, so it's ready to apply the epoxy. So I'll just go over the process of mixing, separating it, and then we'll just film me in action doing it. So I got my 1.5 gallon clear epoxy here. I have a 5-quart container because I need to make 3 quarts of resin. So I'm going to put 3 quarts, 2 quarts of A, 1 quart of part B because it's a 2-to-1 ratio. Mix it for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to dump it into a secondary container. Mix it again for about a minute. That's going to ensure we don't have any soft spots. There's no part A unmixed on the sides, right? Because we're pouring the part A in first. That's going to get all over the sides. Then we add the B, mix it. A lot of times you don't get all the A off the sides mixed in, and that's why we use a secondary mixing bucket. So I'll be doing that, and then I'm going to use some cheap 24-ounce drinking plastic cups to pour out my highlights. I'll make the 3 quarts all together, and then I'll pour some out for my highlights because we're going to be doing a deep blue base with like sky blue highlights. So I'm going to add some clear into here, and that's what I'll make my highlights out of instead of trying to mix 2 parts A to 1 part B for 12 ounces and so on. It just makes it easier to make the full amount. Dump out my clear, add my colors. I got my 2 colors here, and then we're also going to be doing our white effects to kind of add some of the foaminess you get in waves and stuff. So kind of like an ocean theme there, and then we'll ghost the flag, probably a metallic gold. So it should look really, really cool. And then spreading it, I'm gonna do my base, and then spreading and blending highlights. I'm gonna be using a squeegee to blend it. Obviously you need a drill, and then I got my gloves here. So that's pretty much all we need, and then I'll roll the base coat out with the 3/8 snap roller, and then just make sure you guys are de-shedding these. That way you're not getting any loose hairs off of them. So we'll just jump right in. I'll throw some gloves on. I'll start mixing, but that's kind of the process. So here we go. So guys, notice when I get close, I really slow down. I get down at eye level so I can really see those marks. We want to be as exact as we can. And if your resin's cold, it takes a second for it to level out. So you want to keep that in mind. Since we're doing two colors, metallics, I'm gonna pour some out into this container, and then these will be my highlights. I know that they're already perfectly mixed, good to go. Now we can add our metallics. So deep blue is gonna be the majority. And then sky blue will be the highlights, and then we'll add, again, Leggari Effects in white. So obviously I don't need all this for sky blue. And then we always mix lighter colors first. That way I can just jump right into here and mix that. And to minimize the metallics floating up, just keep your paddle all the way in there and let those slowly get sucked in. All right guys, so I have a cool little Leggari tip to clean your paddles. Just have a bucket of denatured alcohol, spin that off in there, and then wipe it with a rag, the shaft and stuff, and these things will be brand new. You can reuse them multiple times. And you never have to worry about chunks of epoxy breaking off and getting in your mixes. So you can see how fast it cleans it. Just clean the shaft off here. And now we have a nice fresh paddle for next time we want to mix some resin. All right guys, so even though we mixed up the clear resin, separated out for our highlights, we still want to move quick. We do not want this sitting in the container for too long. So make sure everything's ready to go. Your rollers are ready, and we're gonna just get this base coat down as fast as we can. Easiest way is pour a bead down the middle. Try to get it, once it levels out, to kind of be a similar width all the way down. And then since we use that secondary mixing container, we can let this completely drain out, and we don't have to worry about having soft spots or the resin not setting up. Now I'm not worried about these edges covering completely, because I'm probably gonna spray the whole edge with gold as well, kind of like an accent piece. Then we're going to be blending with the squeegee, and this is where we're going to use our white effects. Make sure you guys shake these up first also. All right, guys, so it is stencil time. The board turned out really cool. It's got like the ocean currents in it. We got a lot of the waves from the white, right? It just has a really cool look. So now we can lay that stencil down on the world map. It's really simple, and it's been really cold in the warehouse, so this is actually not set up fully, but that's okay because we're gonna flood coat it again anyway. So if we get any scratches or an indent or something, it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna go ahead, lay the stencil on, which I got right here. And again, these are made for a 36 by 80 piece of wood, hollow core door, something like that, 36 by 80 inches. Lining them up, we just want to line up all the corners. Obviously, if you guys are cutting wood for this, make sure you're cutting it straight. I'm going to tape it in the center. So we're going to do half, lay this down half, one half, and then do the other half. Now theoretically, this shouldn't move. We're gonna peel off the backing, and then I'm gonna have Landon jump in here and help. Looks like this guy didn't wanna come off. There we go. So you can see we got a lot of little pieces in here, so we might wanna go a little slower on this one. And then I'm gonna cut the backing. I wanna try to do a straight line if we can. We hold that up, pull this up, try to cut a nice straight line here. Not too straight, but that's all right. And then Landon's gonna hold that side, I'll hold this side. Now what we wanna do is just leave a little slack. We don't wanna pull it tight, leave a little slack. I'm gonna take this squeegee and just go back and forth. Again, just leaving a little bit of slack in it. Now we're not worried about getting air bubbles or anything. Reason being is this is a stencil. All we wanna seal up is all these edges. And then we just do the same thing on the other side. We can pull this tape off because it's stuck down now. And again, on the world map, we want to go a little slower because of all these little pieces that are cut out. And we're going to do the same exact thing. Now, like I said before, we're gonna do this metallic gold. I'm also gonna do the edge metallic gold, so it just looks like it's kind of trimmed out and has a border on it. It should give it a really cool look. So what I'll have to do is just cut this back a little bit all the way around the edge so I can get a nice tape line right on the edge, and then we should be good to go. So yeah, the biggest thing is make sure you guys' tape's pushed down good on the edge, because again, we're spraying spray paint on it. And when I need to do corners, I'll tear it at a, one more try here. Tear it at an angle so I get a little corner piece, and then I can go right into that corner, line it up with the other one. And obviously when I do that corner, I do the opposite way. Put my finger at an angle, tear it, and then I got a point. Put this thing on there. Now I don't have to cut anything. Corner's completely done. That's how you do your corners like a pro. So I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum's metallic gold, and I'm just going to start fogging it, and I'll kind of stop when I think I like how it looks. It is good to do your edges and your faces first, because when I'm spraying my edges, I'm going to wind up getting overspray on the top. And so by doing my edge, getting that done, I know exactly how much I need to spray on the top to get it even, right? If I do the top and then I spray the edge and I get too much here, well, then I need to kind of spray everywhere else again. So I always like to do the faces first. And if you guys aren't in a well-ventilated area, make sure you're wearing a mask. All right, so we're gonna stop. I don't wanna get runs in the face, so we're gonna stop there. I didn't get a lot on the top, so I'm gonna start spraying the top and just kind of letting it, just kind of ghosting it on there. All right, so now I'm just going around making sure everything, all the edges, the little guys are done. And again, you can do as much as you want. You could do it even more solid than this. You could do a lot less than this. I want that gold to really pop. And I'm gonna do the edges solid as well. So it's gonna look really, really high-end and classy. All right, so I'm gonna go hit my edges one more time, and then we'll let this dry. All right, so we're gonna let this dry out for probably half hour, 45 minutes, maybe put a fan on it. The spray paint dries really quick. So a few pointers, make sure you pull all your edges. If you're taping your edge, make sure you're not covering up any designs. And yeah, if you're doing your faces, do 2 thin coats, 3 thin coats, that way you don't have any runs or drips in it. But that's it, so we'll show you guys pulling the tape, and this thing should look really, really cool once this stencil's pulled off. So we're ready for the flood coat now, and like I said before, we use 3 quarts out of the 1.5 gallon for the blue color, and then we use the remaining 3 quarts for the flood coat, clear coat. And I will point out, when you guys are painting your faces, remember I didn't want to see it when it's from the top. If I'm looking down, I can't see gold edge. If you wanted to see that gold edge, you would just tape up on the top. You gotta have a line here, and then you kind of have a gold trim edge that you could see once it's on the wall facing down. So a few options on your edges. But when we're doing our flood coats, cool Leggari tip is to spread it with a squeegee. Once you get it spread out, then take a foam roller, because even foam rollers will kind of shed some debris. I got some stuff falling off of this, so I always like to kind of clean them off before I start. But anytime you roll epoxy out and it gets sticky and thin, like say I poured a pile and then I started cross rolling it, it's gonna get thinner and thinner, and it's gonna start getting sticky in those spots. It's gonna wanna pull stuff off your roller. So by slicking the whole surface off with the squeegee first, when I roll it, it's not gonna be sticky and thin. It's not gonna wanna pull stuff off of here. Now granted, we are in a warehouse, a lot of stuff floating around, so we will get some debris in this, but typically when you're in a house or a controlled environment, it lays out glass smooth. You don't have any issues or debris in it. So I already mixed up the resin. You're gonna mix it the same exact way that we did that first coat. You're just not adding colors because we're doing it clear. And like I said, we're gonna just take a squeegee and just spread it out. You can use your hand, doesn't matter. Use your hand in a glove and spread it out. These Bondo squeegees work really well. You can also order our Leggari squeegees online, and you can cut those down to different sizes, and they work really, really well also. All right, so that's pretty much it with the squeegee. Now I kind of have the whole top coated. Now I can take my foam roller. I always like to start out where I know it's a little thicker, kind of get this thing soaked up. All right, so got a good, nice thick coat on the top. Now I'm gonna start just rolling it all on my edges. That way it'll kind of flow over nice and evenly and coat the edges good. If I need to roll a little to get on the edge, I can. Or I can just kind of push some over that edge and then roll it out. Okay, so flood coat's down, edges are coated. Now, you never want to just finish your project, walk away, assume your edges are going to look good, because the resin's self-leveling, it's flowing over. So it's always good to go back, check them. If you have a run or a drip, you can brush that in, rub your hand across it to get rid of that. And I'm talking about on the actual vertical face of your edge, right? Not the bottom drips. So just always keep that in mind. Double check your edges periodically over the next hour or so. So what I'm gonna do now is just mist it with denatured alcohol. There's like 0 bubbles in it, but we're gonna spray it anyways. I guess we got one here. We got one little guy here, but it just lays out glass smooth. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm just gonna mist it with denatured alcohol. That's gonna help any air that is in there release, and it's gonna help it lay out glass smooth, even though it already is. We always like to do that as our finished pieces once we're done, to make that resin kind of lay out perfectly smooth. So we're obviously not doing denatured or isopropyl alcohol on this, because we're not trying to get any effects out of this clear resin, because there's no pigment in it. Just real simple spray, and got rid of that bubble that was there. And I don't know if you can pick it up, but you can see the resin kind of fizzling after spraying that. It almost looks like it's sparkling. And that's it. So we'll let this set up. I will scrape my drips here in about an hour, hour and a half, and this thing should be done.